So we are on Daf Tes Amud Aleph by the first set of two dots, 10 lines down. We're still in Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rabbi Yehuda, let's remind ourselves of Rabbi Yehuda's sheet. Rabbi Yehuda's sheet was that the Oil Yair is coming for someone who has a Yediyah B'tchila and he finds out afterwards, and then at that point he brings a carbon Oil Yair. But someone who had a Yediyah B'tchila, but he didn't have a Yediyah B'Saif, the Sa'ir B'fnim on Yom Kippur, together with Yom Kippur, is Mechaper, it's Taila. And then, if you have a Yediyah B'Saif and not B'tchila, then on that, the Sa'ir B'chutz is Mechaper. And then Rabbi Yehuda says, if you have a no Yediyah B'tchila or no Yediyah B'Saif, that either the Sa'ir of Rish Chodesh or the Sa'ir of the Regalim is Mechaper. Rav Shimon was Chaylik. Rav Shimon said, no, it's only the Sa'ir of Regalim that's Mechaper. The Sa'ir of Rish Chodesh, I think that's the way it works. We look. Sira Regalim Mechaperim. Right, the Shira Rish Chodesh is Mechaper. The Sira Regalim is Mechaper on Ein B'Yediyah B'tchila or B'Saif. But the Sa'ir of Regalim is Mechaper on, with the Torah, we're talking about someone who is Tameh, who goes into the Beis HaMikdash or eats Kachim. But according to Rav Shimon, the Sa'ir of the Regalim, of Yom Tovim, the Sa'ir that's bought from Musaf on the Yom Tovim, on the Shleish Regalim, that comes to Mechaper if someone ate Kachim that is Tameh. Okay, Zok the Gemara. So al she'ein ba Yediyah b'tchila v'loy b'saif, si regalim v'sili rosh hachadash mechaperim divrei Rabbi Yehuda. That's what we just said. We're still back in Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says it's that the si regalim and the si rosh chodesh are both mechaper on she'ein ba Yediyah b'tchila v'saif. Amar Rabbi Yehuda mashmol. My time with Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason for Rabbi Yehuda? Amar Krav v'sirizim echad l'chatas l'Hashem. The Torah says on the Siyar Rosh Chodesh, Chet she'ein makir by Elo Hashem, Yesor zeh mechaper. The Gemara says that from the Siyar Rosh Chodesh it says L'chatas Hashem, so it's referring to something that a chet that only Hashem is aware of. So what's that? That's she'ein b'Yediyah b'tchila ve'ein b'Yediyah b'Saif. So that's how Rabbi Yehuda gets that the Siyar of Rosh Chodesh is mechaper on she'ein b'Yediyah b'tchila Saif. For the Gemara behind me by like Rish Lakish, Rish Lakish. Man is Sa'ir shel Rish Chodesh. Shenemar by Lashem. Why did the Sa'ir shel Rish Chodesh say Chatas Lashem? The other Seirim, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say Lashem. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Zeh Sa'ir Zeh Kapara Al Shemiyatasi as Hayereach. The Rebbe Shalom says it's like a strange thing even to say. Kaviyachol. The Rebbe Shalom said this Sa'ir is a kapara on that which either Rebbeinu Shalom reduced the size of the Levana, right? The Levana came with a taina that you can't have two malachim, you can't have two heavenly bodies that are equal. So the Rebbeinu Shalom reduced it. So Kaviyachol, the Rebbeinu Shalom is bring this as a kapara. Now the Mefarshim will explain. Obviously, it doesn't mean the Rebbeinu Shalom needs a kapara. What it means to say is it's like as a reminder to the Yareach, that to the moon, that the reason that it was the reason why it was reduced, or the Rebbeinu Shalom, it doesn't mean. I mean, they talk about this question. What does it mean that the Rebbeinu Shalom has a kapara? But in any case, that's what Rish Lakish learns from the pasuk Chatas Lashem that says by Rish Chodesh. So the Rebbeinu Shalom says it's almost a consolation to the Levana that every month the Jewish calendar is dependent on the Levana. So that's a consolation for that which was reduced beneath that of the sun. But in any case, how can you say Chatas Hashem tells you Ein b'Yediyah b'tchila ve'ein b'Yediyah b'Saif? You need it for this drasha Rish Lakish. But no, Im Kain le'makra El Hashem, my Lashem. If it meant to say Elash just, if we meant to say just like Rish Lakish, it should just say Chatas El Hashem, toward Hashem. My La Hashem. So La Hashem is L'Kedamar, and like we said, B'Shem Rav Yehuda. The Ema Kula HaChiyudasa. Maybe it's only for that, and what is it? What maybe it's only for saying the Chiddush of what do you call it? Of Ema Yediyah B'Tchila V'Loi B'Sayif. How do you know it means also Reish Lakish? Imkain name Kro Chatas Hashem. My La Hashem Sham Mino Tarti. It could have said Chatas Hashem, or instead of, so there's three levels. It could have said Me Hashem. It now could have said Hashem. From La Hashem, you learn both. Okay, correct the Gemara. The Gemara asks, okay, now that we have a pasuk that tells you that the soyer that's brought on Rish Chodesh is mechaper on Ein B'Yediyah B'Tchila, Ein B'Yediyah B'Sayf, something that you're not at all aware that you were over on. Let's extend it and say on every other averis, not just Kodshim, Tumas Mikdash Ukdasha, but maybe it's the other isurim that a person is over b'shaygeg without realizing it. Maybe it should be mechaber on that also. So Tan Be'er Bishmal Hayav Zeba Bizman Kavua, V'Zeba Bizman Kavua. Since the Sar Rosh Chodesh comes in as Man Kavua, and the din of that means the Sar is brought only on Rosh Chodesh, and the din of Tumas Mikdash. I'm sorry, the Musaf, the Sawyer that's brought on Yom Kippur, and the Sawyer that's brought on Rosh Chodesh. Just like the Sawyer Bachutz, which we said, right, that was the second one on the list. After the one of the Eilav Yared, we said the Sawyer Bachutz is mechaper on someone that doesn't have a Yediyah B'Tchila, but has a Yediyah B'Sei. So we said we can make a hekesh that it's as man kavua, and the Sawyer of Rosh Chodesh is also as man kavua. So just like the Sawyer of Yom Kippur is only mechaper al tumas mikdash ukdasha, v'avzein mechaper al tumas mikdash ukdasha. So correct the Gemara. We left out something. Yehuda says both the Sira Rosh Chodesh and the Sawyer shall regalim of Yom Tovim is mechaper ein ba yediyah b'tchila ein ba yediyah b'seif. This whole time we were talking about the pasuk of Chatas Hashem. It says by Sawyer Rosh Chodesh. What happened to Sawyer regalim? Ask echad Sira Rosh Chodashim. Sirei Haragalim Minalan. Where do we know the Sirei Regalim? Now, this question is a little bit different than the question that we had before. Because the Gemara, let's see the Taisa. Sirei Regalim Minale. Hachayim L'Parash Minayin Delay Mechapi Nami Asar Averis Kedeboy Le'el Ader Reb Chama. We said Reb Chama had said you learn out from Kavua. It says Kavua that it's a Zman Kavua. So we asked on that. I'm sorry, we had said that you could learn out Sira Rosh Chodesh from what it says Lashem. And we had asked on that, let's say it should be even Ashar Averis by Sira Rosh Chodesh. But now the Gemara is asking that so Taisa says, let's see Taisa. When we say Sira Regalim Minale, it's not like we asked before on the Sirei Rosh Chodesh that we asked maybe it should be mechaper and other averis that are where there's no yediyah. The imkain my parach b'samash chen tadish chen meru kaparosai. Because we're going to ask questions on this. The questions are all going to be that Yom Kippur is more chomer, right? Rosh Chodesh is more tadir than the regalim. Rosh Chodesh or Yom Kippur is meruba kaparasai. It's less tadir. Other will kosher in the nail of mehasan. Avagav the chamir le mechaper nami ashar averes. Adishrash minol the mechaper yatumas mikdash gdasham the ikakaris. Emel mechaper el b'shar averes the lekakaris. The question over here is, let's say that the regalim Maybe they're only mechaper on Shar Averis, not on Tumas Mikdash Ukdasha. That's the way Taisa understands the question. The Ashkan Shira Ish Chadashim, Zak the Gemara, Shira Galamino. V'chitema Hanami Ketana Beri Bishmael. If you'll say also like Ketana Beri Bishmael that we had said that it's Zman Kavua, that Sa'ir Yom Kippur is Zman Kavua, and this is also Zman Kavua. Ekelam Mifrach. Even the Reish Chodesh, if you'll say let's learn out Regalim from Reish Chodesh, Shechein Tadir. The Regalim are less Tadir than Reish Chodesh, so you can't learn out. So obviously, we're not saying it can't be the same question like we said before. How do we know to limit it just like Taisa said? It can't be telling you to limit it just. They were saying this is a reason that we're limiting it just to Tumas Mikdash B'dashav as opposed to Shar Averis, because the fact that the Soyer of Yom Kippur is more Chamer would not indicate to us, or the fact that Reish Chodesh is more Tadir would not say that therefore this should, if that's limited, then this is also limited. Fakir. The fact that it's more Chamer, the Reish Chodesh is, and it's, so if we're asking that this should also be limited, so it must be the other way around. We're saying it should be less limited. Mm-hmm. And even the Yom Kippurim, Shechem Meruba Kaparasa, and Yom Kippur also has a Chumrah, so therefore it can't be that the Soyer of Regalim is only coming to tell you Shar Averis and not the Averis of Tumas Mikdash Ukdasha. Correct the Gemara, V'chi Tema Hagamrinu Reish Chodesh Miyom Kippurim. But we learned before Reish Chodesh Yom Kippur. V'loi Pachin Hasam Kaparam V'loi Pachinan. And over there we didn't ask from these two questions. And this is really baked in what the Taisus had said. I mean, according to what the way Taisus had explained it, this is not really a question, but he understands it. Hasam kapara michtachsivi gilim hasam kapara michtachsivi gimel also behumu. Over there, the Torah already says that there's a kapara michtachsivi, meaning that it is going to be mechayiv you. It's going to be a kapara for Tumas Mikdash Ukdasha, and Legabi Yom Kippur, Legabi Reish Chodesh, we're just a Gilei Milsa B'Alma. The way Rashi says this also, that it's not so. It's a Gilei Milsa, that it's not so chum, that it's
only Tumas Mikdash, right? That it's limited.
It's just saying, it's only limited that it's not going to be on Shar Averis. It's only going to be Tumas Mikdash and not Shavuos. But over here we might say that maybe you're not going to be chayiv on it at all by Tumas Mikdash Ukdasha. So that's that you can't learn out because of these perches. So we're left. Where does it come from that the seer regalim is going to be mechaper on Tumas Mikdash Ukdasha? Elakad Amar of Chama Bachanina Soyer v'Soyer. The Torah says a lashon Soyer, and then it says v'Soyer. The Torah, when it's describing all these different seirim which starts with the one for Rosh Chodesh, and then you go to the one for Pesach, and then for Shavuos, then for Rosh Hashanah, and then Yom Kippur, and you go through the different seirim on Yom Kippur. It says v'Soyer. It says Soyer, v'Soyer, and this Soyer. So we darshan that to mean that the seirim are connected. Hachanami Soyer v'Soyer. Rav Chama Chanina says legabi something else, but we're going to say the same thing over here. The seirim are all compared to one another. That v'iska shiru galam l'seiru reish chadashim. Ma seiru reish chadashim ein mechapim el al she'ein ba yediyah le b'tchila v'lo b'seif. Asiru galam ein mechapim el al she'ein ba yediyah le b'tchila v'lo b'seif. We learn out as a hekesh from this Soyer of the Sirei Regalim to the Sirei Reish Chodesh. That's fact the Gemara. Iboilu. That which Rabbi Yehuda says, that the Soyer of the Regalim and the Soyer of Reish Chodesh and Mechaper on Ein B'Yediyah Le B'Tchila Le B'Seif. Hani B'Lil V'Chait she'ein soifer liyavoda. Is that only by a chait that's he's never going to know about it, meaning that the person did it and nobody saw him? Aval chait she'soifer liyavoda. If he let's say ate kachim, or he went to the Beis Hamikdash and someone saw him, but that person didn't have a chance to tell him, but he's going to tell him in a week. Maybe that's considered something that the potential exists for him to be informed about it, is treated as if it has a yediyah b'sayf. So it's going to be included in the bundle of Ein ba yediyah b'tchila, v'yesh ba yediyah b'sayf. Since even though the yediyah b'sayf hasn't happened yet, since the yediyah b'sayf is inevitable as soon as this guy gets around to it, so that's considered. It's not going to be with the Rosh Chodesh and the Regalim, but rather it's going to be with the soyer of Bachutz of Yom Kippur. Even though he's going to find out about it, in the meantime he doesn't know about it. El Hashem, it's called something that only the Rebbeinu Shalom knows about. And we said Chatas Lashem. That was the source, that it's a Chatas Lashem, something that only the Rebbeinu Shalom. In the meantime, only the Rebbeinu Shalom, between him and the fact that the aide who saw it doesn't help, the person himself doesn't know about it. Talking about Tashma, the Tanya. So anybody yediyah lebetchila v'sayf. V'chait shesayf livada sira hagolim v'sira shchaydish mechaperim divrei Rabbi Yehuda. This brisa says clearly any chait that soifa livada is considered a chait sheloi betchila v'loi b'sayf, even though someone's going to find out about it. Interestingly enough, there's a different, I think, Arishan or different girsa that says that says the exact opposite. That the braya from the braya says that it's something that he doesn't know about. But if he's saifa livada, then itaka would be excluded. So it could be saying the exact opposite thing. Dr. Mark. Reb Shimon Oimer Seirei Halagal Mechaperim Avaloi Seirei Reish Chodesh. Right, so that was this next shita. Reb Shimon said not that the Seirei Galim and the Seirei Reish Chodesh are both mechaper on Ein B'Yediyah B'Tchil Lo B'Yediyah Saif. He says only the Soyer Haragalim is mechaper on them, but the Soyer Reish Chodesh is mechaper on something else. That's mechaper on someone who ate kachim that was tummy. So the basa was tamei as opposed to the person. Amar Abulaz, Amar Rabbi Yeshua. My time of the Reb Shimon. What's the reason for Reb Shimon? Amar Kra. The pasuk says, "Legabe." This is talking about what was this pasuk? Madua le'echalta mesachatas b'mkoim hakodesh ki kodesh kadashmu. This is the Rebbeinu Shalom. This is the Gemara, I think in Zvachim, where we explained that the Rebbeinu Shalom said to Aaron, "Why did you burn the soyer? Why didn't you eat it? It was supposed to be eaten. It was brought as a chatas. That the meat of a chatas is eaten by kehanim." And the Rebbeinu Shalom says to him, and that pasuk over there in Zvachim the Gemara explains that it's talking about the soyer of Rish Chodesh. B'yalef oven mitzitz. It says over there lo says avoin, so it says oven, and it says the gabi that sits oven. Nemar kan oven, v'nemar lan oven. It says by the tzitz. It says avoin also the gabi that sits. Now the tzitz is something, is a concept that comes up throughout kachim, and that is that the tzitz is mechaper on tumah, or it's mechaper in a very specific way. It's not really mechaper in the way that what we call kapara. Kapara is to atone. The tzitz helps if someone brings a carbon b'tumah, or if he's zayrik the dam. I shouldn't say that it's carbon b'tumah. If he's zayrik the dam, if the dam of kachim becomes tameh, and he's zayrik that dam on the mizbeach, that carbon is oila as a kapara for the bailam. That means, let's say it was a chatas, they bring for doing a lav b'shaygig, and they had to bring a chatas, and the dam became tamei and it was spritzed on the mizbeach, even though you're not allowed to spritz dam that's tamei, it's not allowed to become tamei. If it becomes tamei, you're not allowed to spritz it. But if someone did so, the bailam get a kapara from it. So it's oil of them for them lekapara. So we say, so we learn oven mitzitz. Nemar kan oven, nemar alan oven. Mal alom betumbas basar. Just like over there by the tzitz, it's talking about where the basar or the dam became tamei, and we're saying even so, it's going to be a kapara for the bailam. Avkan tumas basar. So too over here, right? So the tumah, the so'er rosh chodesh, which also says oven, it's going to be on tumas basar as opposed to all the other things that Rabbi Yehuda had said. Rabbi Yehuda said everything, all the seirim, everything was coming to mechaper. On a person who became tamei, and it's a question of what yedi he had. Rav Shimon says no, that by the so'er rosh chodesh, since it says oven, it's compared to the tzitz. The tzitz is mechaper where the kachim became tamei. So the so'er rosh chodesh is also going to be mechaper on where the basar became tamei. Correct, Gemara. Imala Allah noilin avkan oilin. Gemara says when Rav Yehuda said, and Rav Shimon said in the Mishnah that the so'er rosh chodesh is mechaper on someone, on a person who ate kachim when the kachim was tamei, it's coming to say that that person gets a kapara for what he did when he did b'shaygig. That so'er provides a kapara. It has nothing to do with making that basar kachim. Once the basar that a person's supposed to be eating, once it's basar, it's the carbon was already brought. That there's no way you can passel a carbon, right? When you bring a carbon, first you do is you shech the animal and you throw the dam on the mizbeach and you put the emurim on the mizbeach, and then the leftover meat is eaten by the kaihanim. But that meat, or by the shlamim, even the basar shlamim, the baila meat. That meat that's eaten at the end is not going to affect, if it becomes tamei, it's not going to affect the validity of the carbon and the kapara that the carbon brings. So the Gemara says maybe what we're saying over here is not like that. Maybe since we're learning from tzitz, maybe it should just be that we're not talking about whether the person gets a kapara, that he doesn't get yisurin in this world, but it's saying whether the carbon remains valid. So Gemara, that can't be. Oven ha'edik. It says the Ada of the congregation. So of the congregation means of the person. It's not talking about that it sits, which is oil that makes it that it goes to the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Rebbeinu Shalom accepts it. In fact, Gemara, Michdi Migmer Gamri Mahadadi. But in the end, the Gemara says in the end we have a hekish between the so'er of Rosh Chodesh and the tzitz. Nechaper the Rosh Chodesh adidei v'ad tzitz. Let's say, since they're compared, it's true. We're not saying now that we should import the rule of oilin to the so'er Rosh Chodesh, that it works on someone eating kachim betumah, where the kachim itself is tamei. But let's say that what the tzitz does, the so'er of Rosh Chodesh should also do. It should also be mechaper. It should be oila. Should have the same, since they're hokash. Let's say it also provides the same kapara that the tzitz does. Nafkamina laheichen the nishbar tzitz. In a case where the tzitz is broken, so it's not able to provide that it should be oila when someone is mala zayrik dam, or he brings a murim on the mizbeach. Maybe, but the so'er rosh chodesh should do so. Amar kra oven echad hu noisa ve'ein noisa beis avonos. The one says no. Since it says oven, the lashon oven on Sirish Chodesh, it's only working on one thing. It already has its job cut out for it. It's talking about a person who ate kachim betuma. It's not talking about being mala tuma on the mizbeach. In fact, the Marav, what about the other way around? When the chaper tzitz adidei v'adarish Chodesh, let the tzitz be mechaper. Let's be mala kachim that the kachim betuma that were on the mizbeach, and then also do what Rosh Chodesh does. That if someone ate kachim betuma, nafkamin. And why would you need it? If you have the tzitz, if you have anyway the sar of Rosh Chodesh, what do you need the tzitz also? Right? If after Rosh Chodesh, someone ate kachim that was tameh, so you won't get a kapara until Rosh Chodesh comes. But if the tzitz is also going to be mechaper on it, then he'll get off the hook. Amakra oisa noisa oven ve'en acheres noisa oven. The Torah says the gabe the soy Rosh Chodesh. It says oisa nasal mechem. That is going to be a kapara for it and nothing else. Meaning even the tzitz also is not going to be mechaper. Ravashi says really the same shop, but he just has this different psuk of this. It says for the Eda and not, it's mechaper on the Eda, and it's not mechaper on kachim, it's not to be oila kachim. The hay, he says the hay Yedi is saying that it's only this thing and not something else, as opposed to the psukim that we just quoted. Correcting so we understood half of the equation, right? We're asking in Rav Shimon, who says that the soyer of Rosh Chodesh comes to be mechaper on a torsh that ate tameh, like unrelated to all the other seirim that we were saying, which talking about yediyah b'tchila b'sayf, different varieties of yediyas. But Rav Yehuda had learned out. Where do we know that the soyer Rosh Chodesh is mechaper on ein b'yediyah b'tchila ve'ein b'yediyah b'sayf, and the seir regalim is also mechaper on ein b'yediyah b'tchila ve'ein b'yediyah b'sayf. So we said he learned out the soyer regalim from the soyer Rosh Chodesh. So according to Reb Shimon, who says the soyer Rosh Chodesh is not talking about ein b'yediyah b'tchila ein b'yediyah b'sayf, how are you going to know the soyer regalim? We compare all the different seirim. So we compare them one to another. So this is now where it's different than Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda had said it, you just learn it out straight. But he says it's a limud from Rosh Chodesh, but not that we learn it out directly from Rosh Chodesh, because Rosh Chodesh is also mechaper ein b'yediyah b'tchila b'sayf, but rather we just learn out like Masor the Rosh Chodesh milsa the Kodesh mechapri, just like the Sar Rosh Chodesh is mechaper on something that's Kodesh. Afsi regalim milsa the Kodesh mechapri. It's also mechaper on something that has to do with kosher, but that's a very general statement. So then the Gemara continues. V'chitema nichperu the Rosh Chodesh. Let's say when it says over here the Rosh Chodesh, it means on that which Rosh Chodesh is coming to be mechaper, meaning on, according to Rav Shimon, a tar that ate tameh. We said no. We said that there's a pasuk that we quote. We said before in when we was explaining Rav Yehuda that it's only mechaper. I'm sorry, when we were explaining regalim. I'm sorry, when we said we're explaining Rosh Chodesh that it only is mechaper when we compare it to the tzitz. We said it's only that is mechaper Rosh Chodesh and nothing else. So the same thing over here. Let's say it's going to be mechaper on the same thing that the chatas of Yom Kippurim, I believe it means the one bechitzon. It only happens once in the year. That's the one time that you get a kapara. There's not going to be also from the regal. So what is left? If it's talking about yesh b'yediyah b'tchila habar kapara carbon, that gets oila v'yair. So that's not what the pasuk is coming to tell you. Yesh b'yediyah b'tchila ve'ein b'yediyah b'sayf v'hai sar hanasa b'fnim v'yom kippurim. Tyler, that we have a different pasuk and a different sar to address it. Yesh b'yediyah b'tchila v'yesh b'yediyah b'sayf. The idea b'tchila, no idea b'sayif, high star nasa b'chutz yom kippur mechaper, which we already said before. Now we're working through it again in order. So by default, we've eliminated all other possibilities of what the Sar of Regalim, according to Rav Shimon, could be Mechaper on. So the only thing that's left is Ein B'Yedi Ein B'Yedi Eloi B'Tchila V'Eloi B'Sei. Okay, we'll stop over here, and we'll continue with our review of the Mishnah. We're going to continue on this topic for a little bit longer.
Cool.
Thank you. Good luck.
Cool.
10 to 8 tomorrow.